case of the mental health drugs, that like those being formulated here in 29 years ago to help the whole emotional distress that was going on with our country. And now, not to say, this is not about right or wrong, this is just information. And so how have we used that to help us, and how have we used that to escape from really getting clear on what the issues are? Because now we have death through depression, which is, hey, it's not working, we can't cope. And for some people it does. So again, we're not saying right or wrong here, but just to look at that for not only just collectively, but for ourselves in these cycles.
Yes. So some of the questions that Saturn would ask is, what have you constructed in your life in this area we're talking about so far? What have you been working on? What's been constructed? And what is transforming? So what's been unearthed for you during this time? And then what are the strengths? So what will withstand time? Because you'll shed what's unnecessary and build on what's good and what is going to stand the test of time. So what are some of the things that you've kept hidden from yourself or from life? Those are the things that have been bubbling up. And of course, these cycles always build onto a new cycle. And you are always birthing a new sense of awareness. As you know, you are different than you were 28 years ago in your cycle. You're different than you were even 2-3 years ago, because you're always kind of looking at these things. Saturn is the midwife of awareness. It says what you apply yourself to or don't apply yourself to is what you have, what you're going to have. Do you want to stay in the box? That's fine, no judgment, but hopefully we're birthing a new awareness. Does anybody want to answer any of those questions? Anybody have anything to add? Please.
Could you talk more about the moral, emotional, and energetic debt?
Well, like energetic debt, for sure, and the emotional debt. So we were kind of playing with that one day. My experience during this time, I'll just use myself as an example. I have had to very consciously cut emotional cords that felt like debts, emotional debts to other people in my life. I was the one that allowed them. I kept them there for my own reasons of whatever I was working on psychologically in my growth over time. And so part of that debt that I felt indebted, I just decided I can't do that anymore. And so I said during this time, I have to close that which I thought I owed someone. Does that make sense? So same thing with energy, because I can take care of somebody or energetically be with them but not have to be present with them and carry a big load. And a lot of what Saturn transits are about is responsibility, but a lot of times we our minds love to make up that responsibility is about burden, okay? And so it's about reforming. I don't want to feel burdened by my emotional attachments with people or emotional cords with them, and so I needed to re-look at how I was going to do that. And I do have my own set of morals. Like, I just don't randomly walk away from people, you know? And so I had to figure out how to restructure that, redefine that for myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So there's a lot of guilt and shame involved.
Yes,
right?
guilt and shame, huge, huge in Scorpio. Yeah, yeah.
And also moral debt of what we feel that we owe society based on the conditioning that society tells us that how we have to be or how we have to act or what we have to do. And that's another big one, because remember, Saturn is about owning our own authority. So it is about no longer, just because it is, what we're supposed to do, that's moral debt, and really getting clear with what really works for us personally, not being run by society.
Yes. Very
Is
good.
that
Yeah.
That helped?
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? That was a good question. Can anybody relate to anything that we talked about so far? Yeah.
Can you ask those questions again that you have just asked?
Yeah, what have you constructed in your life in this area up into this point? What has been unearthed for you, and what will withstand the test of time? And what have you kept hidden from yourself or from life? Because when we're in the time of Scorpio, all of those things are kind of like things below the surface that are being brought up.
Another question is, look at the foundation of your current life situation. How stable is it? I think that's a really powerful question right there. What needs to be stripped away? What needs to be built? And that's what Saturn is. It's about deconstruction and reconstruction. So should we go move into the next?
Yeah.
piece? Okay. So that's a cycle that we've been in for the last 2.5 years. So we're gonna kind of lighten everything up right now, because I know that felt kind of heavy, because it is heavy.
Does anybody feel the heaviness of it?
Yeah, it's heavy.
very heavy.
Yeah, it kind of puts you asleep a little bit too.
Yep.
Seriously, really, because that's how we check out, right? Is to numb ourselves some way or go to sleep.
And that's why addictions and compulsions really take over during this time,
Yeah.
because it is painful. We don't want to go there. It's easier to have a drug or a glass of wine or sleep or sex or something to take me out of that thing. I don't want to go there. That's not fun. Necessary at some point, but not so fun.
Right, right. Okay, so as we come to a close at the end of this year, we move into another sign, which is Sagittarius. So we move out of water, out of the emotional realm, into the fire realm. Yay!
And what I want to say is, like, it's not an exact day.
Right.
It's a coming, and you're gonna feel a shift.
You probably feel it now.
Yes, you're
On
probably
some level.
feeling it now.
That something's gonna change, something's gonna be different.
Yes.
There's some excitement that's coming.
Yes.
There's a sense of really freedom that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sagittarius is about optimism, expansion, open-mindedness. It's about, it helps us define, really see our vision, our goals, and what we truly aspire for. The sign of Sagittarius is a centaur, and he has an arrow, and he's pointing the arrow, and the arrow is the arrow of aspiration, and there is a vision. And so, you know, that's the feeling of Sagittarius energy. It's very future-oriented. It involves spirituality, faith, hope. These are some of the themes that are going to come up during this time. It is a time of exploration. It is about asking what we truly want, what's really true for us in our lives. It is about information, I would say it this way, wisdom versus information. So really challenging what we know versus an inner knowing. And it's also, it's not as personal as Scorpio, like this last, you know, cycle we've been in that we're currently still in, it's felt very personal. This is going to step us into a much more larger arena of life, into the transpersonal. Like, not even just what we truly believe, but like really, as a collective, what do we believe to be true about life itself? And really broaden our vision of helping to understand others, understand and self-acceptance, being able to see from a larger perspective. This is not about the, you know, religion. This is about philosophy, higher learning, you know, concepts of, you know, like wisdom religions. So this is no longer saying, you know, Sagittarius is saying, you know, what do we truly all believe? What's at the core of it? What's really, like, what is spirituality? Spirituality is the path of the heart, okay? So this is about that theme for all of us. And, you know, our beliefs are going to be challenged during this time. And they need to be challenged because we need to expand beyond what we are right now, because what we are right now is people that think that this particular way is the way to do it. This is the right way and this is the wrong way. This is not about right and wrong. This is just about even what is for all. And that's why, I mean, we have, you know, so much going on with, you know, we have, you know, I don't want to get into anything in particular, but we have, you know, a black and white issue still going on, and here we are today still dealing with this. We have gay marriage, you know, I mean, this is, you know, some people are saying this is right and this is wrong. Really? I mean, this is all non-judgmental. This is about compassion. And let's see, some of the archetypes that are associated with Sagittarian energy are the sage. And for those who don't know the sage is, that's like the wise, the healer.
The wise teacher.
Thank you, the wise teacher. It is the traveler, the judge, the teacher, the prophet, the king, the adventurer, and the adventure as in seizing opportunities. So I don't know if you guys can kind of feel that shift coming, but it is about, you know, really seizing what it lies ahead. What is our vision? It is the visionary, the philosopher, the pioneer, the seeker, the gambler. So this is really exciting. I mean, and it's fun, and it's travel. Did I miss anything else? Because I know I didn't say travel.
Yeah, you didn't say that.
Yeah, this is about travel, and sometimes that can be literally, and travel just as in, you know, going places where we haven't gone even in our minds and in our hearts.
Yes. Yes. Is the room temperature okay? Are people cold? Okay, it's
cold.
cold.
It's
Can you
cold.
turn that off, Mark? Thank you. So yes, long distance travel and exploration, inner and outer, okay? Very important. Sagittarius also rules gambling, which means taking advantage of opportunities. That's a gamble, right? So there's that, it's all about our beliefs and philosophical views, understanding of the big collective. Who are we? What are we all doing here? So you kind of see where we're already going at with all the stuff that's erupting now. What are we doing here, people? We're cutting people's heads off. We're gunning people down. What are we doing here, people? That kind of stuff. Higher education, again, seeking truths, inner exploration, what we aspire to do, personally and collectively. Yep, just like Teresa said. So it's a time to challenge our ideals and ask what freedom means, how we struggle to reach our visions, and what our aspirations are, and how we want to broaden our perspective on the worldview. I mean, all of these things are already bubbling up because we're talking about them. We're going to be talking about them. We're going to be addressing them for a while. Yes, Susan?
Are you still talking about Saturn? Is this that we're moving into Sagittarius? Is that Saturn is moving
Yes.
into
Yes,
Sagittarius?
yep.
So we're still taking all those properties and
Right.
mixing it with.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And so most of these are kind of like Sagittarius kind of attributes, and so we're going to put them both together. Very good. That's where we're going next. So then I pose another question to you. So if we're looking at the past to learn about what's happening now, what was happening for you 1986 to 1988? And the reason I ask that is because Saturn was in Sagittarius then. So again, we might see some themes about what was happening for you, what you were doing during that time, what you were focusing on, working on during that time. Some of these things that we talked about, you may have been doing or addressing, right? Or coming into being born. Okay, so some of the things that were happening for us collectively that affected the whole, you know, for sure. We had the Chernobyl meltdown, so that was huge. Challenger exploded. So here we want to go into space and have exploration, and it blew up. Saturn
Is that
said.
the first female? Did you say?
Yeah, I think that was the first female too, yeah. But that exploded, so what we were doing, didn't work, so we had to address that. We had our first observation of Martin Luther King Jr. Day during that time, which is huge. We collectively came and said, we need to do this. That's a good thing. We had something happen called Black Monday, where our stock market fell 22% in one day. It was the biggest fall. It was a bigger percentage of fall than it was during the stock market crash of the 30s. Okay, so think about it. Our stock market is where we gamble. We put money in, people make predictions, and they put money into something and then see what's going to happen. So all the time it's a gamble. So that happened during this time. There was issues with kind of like moral dilemmas. We had that baby M surrogate case where one of the first surrogate babies was being fought over during that time. It was huge. And two really big religious scandals. And you know, Sag rules religion. which was Jimmy Swaggart and Jim Baker, okay? Because they're out doing things that they said, you know, morally shouldn't be doing, right? And so that kind of came out and kind of made us all look at collectively, how's that working for you, kind of thing, okay?
Or eyelashes.
Ben Johnson, he won the 100-yard dash in the Olympics, but then it came out that he doped, and so that was huge for him to win that, and then to have that. And then this one's really huge, and Teresa and I had to talk about this. Prozac was released during that time, and so here we are. We have the solution to all of your problems. Just take this drug and make it go away. So you don't have to feel any of that intensity. You don't have to feel any of that stuff. You see where we were kind of going collectively? We wanted to help fix something. And it's not a judgment to say it's right or wrong. There are people that, you know, need to do that and some people don't. But here again, as a collective, we thought this was a good idea to bring this as a solution. Okay?
But with Saturn, Saturn says, how do we use this responsibly? Not how do we use this irresponsibly.
Right.
Right?
Yes. Yes. So, of course, now here we are getting ready to shift from this whole very scorpionic theme that we've been in into this Saturn in Sagittarius theme. So we're going to be applying all of those kind of searching, working in this area, reality checks, what is going on in those areas of, you know, looking at who we are collectively. What are we all doing here? What are our aspirations, personally and collectively? Because Sagittarius is not just about what is going on for me and what I want to do. It's about for everybody. We're all in this together. So wherever we're, you know, seeking truth or looking at beliefs or moral dilemmas or spirituality or our own faith, all of those things are going to be up for review. So, you know, again, you might want to look back to 86 to 88. What were you learning then? What were your aspirations? What were your goals then? Does anybody have any awareness or something to share? No? Okay. So one of the things that is helpful when there's this shift from deep water, which is Scorpio, into fire, first of all, is levity. Oh, good, we're out of that, that real deep water. And there's a sense of levity and clarity up here a little bit. So that's helpful. So we hopefully have a greater sense of understanding. It's not so emotionally intense, if that makes sense. But just in general, we're going to see a lot of things happening for us collectively, because Sagittarius is about what we're doing. So we're going to see themes around education and higher learning. We're going to see themes around spirituality and religion, formal religion. We're going to see things around gambling, which is our stock market, our own personal debts, in the sense of how we gamble with our money or energy. Let me see what else. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things I think that's really important to say about Sagittarian energy also coming out of water into being in this feeling realm is that we're moving into action. So, you know, we kind of are in this water realm and we're feeling and, you know, have all this internal experience, and fire is about also movement. And so this is where if we want to achieve those goals in our lives, we actually have to do something to move toward them. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but it's what we do. We can be in our heads about it. We can be in our, you know, in our minds and just kind of, you know, okay, I'll just kind of sit here, and I'm saying I'm guilty of this, of just kind of owning myself into creating something in my life. But it's like if I'm not actually doing something and taking action toward it, then it's not going to happen. And so Sagittarius is saying that you have to go out and move with this energy. This is fire. Fire is movement, it's action, it's inspiration, it's inspiring.
Yeah. So if we could go back to the 86 to 88 piece, yes, Liza?
I moved in that period of time, I moved